Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. It's Tuesday, January 30, 2024. My name is Brian Engelman, and that is Blake Walley. And this is the Agree to Disagree show on the new American media because the old American media has failed us. On today's show, we are going to discuss a lot of things, including E. Jean Carroll's kangaroo court. Well, what didn't the jury get to hear? Were they valid rebuttals? We're going to ask about Elon once again. We talk about him almost every episode. Should we trust him? Why? Because he loves humanity? We shall see. We're going to talk about Code Pink. Yes, Code Pink. You know, some of these activist groups, you think they're gone, and then just out of nowhere, they spring back up again. Like a perennial bulb on the side of your house that a previous tenant planted. Yes, should they leave Nancy Pelosi alone, or should they spring? We shall discuss. Also, the left's lawfare. Are they helping American democracy? Maybe. We'll consider it. Also, the immigration crisis. Greg Abbott. Is this deliberately engineered? Is it helping the globalist agenda? We'll discuss. Conflicts in Jordan and Iran, is that going to draw the United States into World War III? We'll discuss that. But first, what I want to discuss is the reason why this is streaming on the sports channels today. Of course, we do the Agree to Disagree show, but we also do the Unhappy Hour sports show. In the Unhappy Hour sports show, we discuss all things sportsy. And it just kind of seems like ever since these two have been pair bonded, let me go ahead and click this twice to get it up on the screen there. Usually it used to only take once. Jamie, could you get that Travis Kelce meme on the screen? Okay, thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I think I'm going to name my fake AI or my actual producer Jamie in honor of Joe Rogan calling to his assistant asking for something. But today's topic is terrible Taylor takes in World War III. And the reason it's called Terrible Taylor Takes is because for the past few months, it seems like all anybody wants to talk about is Taylor Swift. And you just kind of wonder why. Kind of a plain Jane character. She writes her songs. They're kind of, I don't know, generic pop songs. She writes a couple catchy songs. She hasn't just been successful. She's reinvented the way that the music business is ran. She had her catalog of music purchased, by the way, in her own words, saying that it was a Soros group that purchased her catalog of music. I was just watching that clip, trying to dig into that a little bit more. But she found a way to re-record her songs, her albums entirely, so that she could have her fans go purchase the new albums and cut out her old record company and the old record contracts and put money back in her pocket instead of an unfair deal that she claimed she was locked into with her previous company. So she is genius level reinventing things. She's not just successful as a bland pop singer. She just had the most popular tour on earth. So I get that she's popular. I don't quite get it, but it is what it is. But toward the end of the football season, this Travis Kelce situation sprung up. And it seems like the media, the NFL, have just been running with this and saying that the popularity of the NFL has never been higher. The Swifties, the Taylor Swift fans joining to watch football games is at an all-time high. She's single-handedly saving the NFL from what? I don't know, from themselves probably, and they're bloviating. But this has been a trend since it has occurred, it being the relationship, we can say in air quotes, the relationship between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But this is the terrible Taylor take that we have been hearing pretty much for the past week nonstop. Your daughters are watching you hate Taylor Swift for supporting her boyfriend and hearing you complain about her taking 60 seconds of airtime out of a 3-hour game. What they hear, be smaller, be less, do better. This is the take that the camp has pushed out. This is the official narrative and rebuttal that it came out at the 4 a.m. talking points, and this is what they are spreading across the country now. So the anti-Taylor people had their say. Now it's the defense of Taylor people. And I just want to say that this is way bigger than your terrible Taylor takes. This is not about the excessive amount of screen time that she's getting on television, which it is. It's pretty annoying. It's overdone. I'm over it. Looking up into that press box and watching the Taylor Swift fiasco. I'm over it. I just want to watch some football. But this is bigger because as soon as this relationship, this whole season has been about Travis Kelce as the face of football, and Travis Kelce with Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce putting Bud Light advertisements out there. Travis Kelce putting Pfizer announcements out there that you need to go get that thing inside of your arm. This is about Kelce. It's about Taylor Swift. And Taylor, by the way, very famously got very political a couple of years ago in favor of the Democrats who are taking on water on border issues, on Ukraine, on Israel. There is not on energy independence, on rising inflation. There's literally nothing that the Democrats are polling well in. There's nothing the Democrats are doing that the American people are resonating with. But out of nowhere is the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, ta-da, fiesta. So that's why today's show is streaming into the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. And this is why I'm going to toss this to TV's Blake Walley. You can follow him on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley and thenextlevelnews.com. Deb from Sac says, terrible Taylor takes. That's catchy. Yes, Blake is an alliteration fan of the utmost degree. And I figured that was as good a place as any to begin today's show. Blake, thank you for joining us. What say you, sir?
Would you say that I'm an alliteration extremist?
An alliteration activist.
Okay, I like that.
It's got to be double A then. Otherwise, yes. Yes, I would.
Very much.
But fans of the written word and the spoken word, we're always thinking about slant rhymes and alliterations. There's a hip-hop component there's a flow and a cadence to speaking and writing. And when you can use the same first letter, terrible Taylor takes, it does something to the brain. I think.
Like Ben Shapiro and Tom McDonald.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited.
Wow. Okay. You watched like every Tom McDonald. I thought you had like you got an alert. Like Tom McDonald's got a new video.
Well, Tom McDonald's pretty cool. What I need to do is I need to log into my YouTube channel and do a music reaction. If you want to go to that one, the YouTube channel is I Like You. It's just the letter U. I like YouTube just fine. I like the letter YouTube just fine. Jocelyn says, to be fair, younger girls are finding manly men in the football arena. No soy boys. All right, there's another take. All right, that's an interesting take as well. But Blake, what say you about all this?
Fellow Sigma male. All right.
Sigma male
unites.
Does not care. So is this propaganda, Blake? Were the conference championships rigged? What say you? I kind of saw. Well, I'll tell you what I saw after I get your take.
Well, I can pull up the calls if we want to go into that. I wasn't sure where to start here.
Yeah, we could go either direction. I watched the game and I felt like the Ravens imploded. They made several key mistakes at several key moments.
They fumbled the ball going into the end zone, Zay Flowers, Z-Flow, and then you had the interception. But some were saying that might have been a pass interference call. I do have that in this particular article. I don't know whether I favor that or not. I really thought Baltimore was going to win. I was surprised Kansas City made it through, but maybe it's also part of a conspiracy. I've seen some really bad calls that have benefited the Chiefs a lot, especially like during my the Vikings game, not a couple months back. But then it had that one that Tony that catch that big play that did get called back. So they did lose. They did kind of fade away towards the end, and all of a sudden they have been reinvigorated in the playoffs, and they pulled off a big upset, about 4.5-point underdog, not major, but yes, due to a couple of mistakes. But we can take a look at a couple of these officiating calls. I guess there are people that are calling for them to be investigated. I certainly do believe that they can rig games if they do want to. And it did seem like there were, I was surprised that there weren't some flags thrown a few times, especially just even benefiting the hometown team, but it never happened. So you keep waiting. Are they going to throw a flag? Nope. And then you just watch the Ravens cough up the lead, lose the game. And here we go. So they're saying, here we go. Let's pull this one up. This is the interception that he threw late, but he threw it kind of into triple coverage there. And they were saying that, and then Gene Steratore, who people are suspecting is just kind of confirms when they make bad ref calls, that he kind of justifies them on national TV to make it look like it's not that controversial here. So you've got a lot of significant contact there, according to Gene Steratore. So maybe that's it. He slowed him down right there just enough, if you see the full thing. So here we go. Yeah, Gene Steratore is the propaganda arm of the NFL. His job is to back bad calls by the refs. At least say it's a bad pass in a triple coverage. Don't try to say that there was no contact before the interception, as we can clearly
receiver, but in my opinion, I think this contact is occurring.
There it is.
The interception is taking place. You see the
and he's all over his back.
You've got a play that's behind
getting tackled, really.
But then I don't know what he's looking at. What is he freaking out? You're looking at the video and you're like, dude, you just threw into triple coverage. I did.
He threw it into triple coverage. He did, because Lamar Jackson wilts under pressure.
Yeah, he could have thrown to that guy there. And he's got so many. He's got so many weapons. He's got so many receivers. Bateman and Andrews, and OBJ and Z-Flow.
Way more weapons. Well,
yeah.
I don't know, way more weapons, but
well, that's a lot. You're talking about OBJ, Rashad Bateman. You've got Mark Andrews, one of the better receiving tight ends, and who else? Zay Flowers. He's kind of a stud young guy. Plus, he can run. He can just—that's what Lamar Jackson can do. But then he whips that one up into triple coverage. I'm not sure I understand that. Plus, he's got that likely or lively, the other backup tight end. Like, he's got plenty of targets to. It's an embarrassment of riches. But he threw into triple coverage. They lost the game. It benefited the Chiefs, and it does kind of look like that would be the favored team. Like, if the NFL and the advertisers could have their way, if they could script it, they would absolutely pick the Chiefs. But
now, you've heard, Blake, for a while that the NFL script writers, they had Baltimore Ravens versus the 49ers because that was the color of the advertisement. I'm sure you've seen that. When you see the Super Bowl, whatever year it is, LXIV, whatever, it's purple and red. So like, they already know it's going to be the Ravens and the 49ers. Well, that didn't turn out. That was the big rumor we heard for weeks and weeks, right? So at least one of these was put to bed.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of thinking it was going to be the Ravens and the Lions. That would have been a much more exciting. I think that would have been generated more interest from the real football fans. But I think they're trying to also just reach the general masses. And of course, they do love the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce narrative. So they are going to absolutely push that.
And how about all those insufferable Patrick Mahomes commercials as well? Oh my gosh, you can't go 20 minutes without seeing a Patrick Mahomes commercial. Then finally you go on a stretch in between one commercial break and there's not a Patrick Mahomes commercial and it's Travis Kelce. It is the most annoying shit. And so I'm seeing these terrible Taylor takes. They have all come out. These Swiftie defense battalions have come out blasting men who are complaining about a successful woman being on screen at their little football contest. Like, have you noticed the Swifties attacking now, almost feeling like it's a political and organized campaign? Because when I saw this game, Blake, and I watched it, I was for the first time in my life, probably for the first time in my life, Blake, because the Baltimore Ravens stole my Cleveland Browns franchise in 1995. For the first time ever, I was cheering for the Ravens. I feel gross saying that out loud because I'm just so sick of Kansas City. I'm sick of how Kansas City didn't get the helmet-to-helmet hit on the Browns and Baker Mayfield's Rashad Higgins touchdown. Going into the end zone, helmet-to-helmet, blasted him, and the ball went through as a touchback, and we lost the game by less than 7 points. If the refs called an honest game against the Browns and Chiefs a couple of years ago, the Browns would have been in the AFC Championship game instead. I am so sick of the Chiefs, of Kansas City, of Mike Holmgren, of Patrick Mahomes, of Taylor Swift, of Travis Kelce. I'm sick of all of them. And Kelce, by the way, from Cleveland.
So Andy Reid, right? Not Holmgren.
I said Holmgren. Yeah, I meant Andy Reid.
They look similar. Yeah.
It's the walrus mustache. Yep. I actually was cheering for the Baltimore team. And by the way, I said whoever comes out of the NFC, whether it's 49ers or the Lions, I will cheer for the NFC team. I do not want Baltimore to win a Super Bowl. I do not want the Chiefs to win another one. So I'm pulling for the 49ers in this for sure. But I saw
it feels gross. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I like Chase Young from the Buckeyes. I like Bosa from the Buckeyes. I like Christian McCaffrey. I like Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last quarterback picked in the entire draft. There's some cool storylines over there. Some players I can appreciate. I don't like anything about the Chiefs. Nothing. Literally nothing. I will say their fans are actually pretty nice. Their fans were pretty cool when I went down there. But
Kansas City's a cool city. But yeah, I like to see some new teams win. But torn on that because I didn't really want to see Detroit because the Vikings are 0-4 in the Super Bowls. And that would be how embarrassing would it be for the Lions to come out of nowhere and win a Super Bowl. But, I also feel bad for their fans because that was.
Well, the Lions imploded just like the Ravens did. I didn't see a game that was rigged per se, but I have ball derangement syndrome. Over what? Over what? Hold on, Timothy. What do I have ball derangement syndrome over? Over the helmet-to-helmet hit from Dirty Dan Sorensen? He says his life is so much better because of football.
Right.
But regardless, Blake, whether the game was rigged so that the Chiefs could win and keep all those Kelce and Swiftie fans going in, do you think that there is a propaganda component here? Because what I've been seeing is all of this. We must defend Taylor. Leave Britney alone. That whole mob. We need to pull up that meme somewhere. You know what I'm talking about? Leave Britney alone. Now it's leave Taylor alone. She's a strong, independent woman. You must never say anything about her. She's not annoying at all. Leave Taylor alone.
It is weird because it's like all the non-football fans that are getting involved in this, and they're finding enjoyment. But yes, that's going to get a lot more eyes on the Super Bowl. Absolutely. So the NFL definitely has an interest in getting this together. Actually, before we do that, why don't I just go into some of the details? Taylor Swift is already saying they've generated a whopping $330 million for the NFL because of this Travis Kelce romance. So the pop megastar has been.
I have a question.
Yeah.
All right. How in the world could anybody possibly quantify that?
I don't know, Brian. I haven't even gotten through the headline yet, so I haven't fully gotten into this. I'm not entirely sure. Front Office Sports recently reported Swift created a brand value, quote, of $331.5 million for the Chiefs and the NFL, citing data from this marketing group. Data accounted for print, digital, radio, television highlights, and social media monitoring since she attended her first Chiefs game on September 24th through January 22nd. And calculated a financial amount for each occurrence based on reach and impact, according to the report. So there you go, Brian. $331 million, perhaps, or at least a good rough estimate.
To me, that's such an unquantifiable number. I don't buy that number at all. I mean, I get that they've used some metrics to come up with something. I don't see
print, digital, radio, TV, highlights, social media, and they come up with this number. I don't, who knows?
And I assure you, the Cleveland Browns being the best that they've been in since 1995 definitely helped ratings as well. They're one of the most well-traveled global brands in all of football. But yeah, I mean, it's just there can be a lot of
you weren't serious, right?
Good for the first time since Barry Sanders. Like the Lions fan base came out and they were super excited. There's a lot of reasons why. It's not like everything successful is because of Taylor Swift and her bland music.
That could be. That's different. It's for the the non-football fans to engage with football and find interest in that because she's a huge international megastar, one of the biggest musicians on the planet, singers or whatever we want to call her. So she does attract that audience, and they might go check out a football game just because of this. It's a big deal for certain people. So it's the romance became a national sensation when they were in New York City for a date night. And that's after she generated $166 million. I don't know, for a year. So they sent the internet into a tailspin in September when she caught the Chiefs' Week 3 victory over the Bears at Arrowhead Stadium. And she became a regular at Kelce's games, 12 of 18. And there they are, paparazzi. They even shared a kiss on the field when the win over the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. Look at that. Yeah, the people are going crazy for that. And they are tuning in. Look at that. She looks so concerned. But,
although I will say I did think it was pretty fun watching Travis Kelce's brother, who I believe is retiring, or they're suspecting is going to retire, Jason Kelce, shirtless out there looking like Bert Kreischer, drinking beer and jumping out of the luxury box. That was kind of funny. But then the leave Taylor alone people are like, oh, you're okay with the camera showing Kelce's brother, but not Taylor. Leave Taylor alone. Leave Taylor alone. Here, I pulled up the clip just so I can stop saying the leave Taylor alone. But here's the leave Taylor alone person. We need to bring this back. Here we go.
Well, that was 2007.
Oh, come on. That's not what
It's hard.
Oh, Brian.
No one
Jamie.
But I still love her.
Hang on, here we go. It was at the beginning. Oh, that was a terrible clip. I went for leave Britney alone shorts. Anyway, it's this guy going, leave Taylor alone. Leave Taylor alone. All the terrible Taylor takes.
Yeah, there's going to be more. When we had all the terrible AI photos from Taylor, we covered a couple of them.
You need to send me some.
Banned most of them off the internet. Huh?
I haven't seen any of them. You need to send me more.
Well, I know they pulled them all off of Twitter. They're hard to find now. I don't even know where the ones that I have are. So they exist on that previous video. I'm surprised they didn't take that down. So, but anyway, this also looks like it's potentially set up. We got a UFC veteran, Paige Van Zandt, claims that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's romance is 100% fake and recounts her own experience with an NFL player. Of course, yes, you've got Mr. Pfizer, so this could be all set up for his propaganda here. I know sports and entertainment world buzzing with skepticism and theories surrounding the high-profile romance. But this former UFC, Paige Van Zandt, I'm not familiar, has now added her voice, sharing her own past experience where she was approached to fake a relationship with an NFL player.
Blake, I think her dad is Ronnie Van Zant, isn't it?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Who is that? Van Zant.
Go ahead. Read a little more. I'll give you the background in a minute. Let me look it up.
All right. Well, anyway, the 29-year-old professional wrestler declared the bold statement during an episode of her podcast. So she says when she was on Dancing with the Stars, she hired a publicist. And that's what everyone did. Everyone in LA has a publicist, and a publicist's job is to make you more famous, to get you into magazines, TV shows, news articles, whatever. They get you interviews. And at one point, her publicist called her and said, hey, we got a call from this NFL player's publicist. And then she was then approached with a proposal for a stage date with an unnamed NFL player, complete with planned paparazzi and orchestrated public displays of affection. But she backed out at the last minute, standing up the unnamed NFL player. So she was trying to become more famous, but then kind of decided not to. So that could have been her, just very similar to the Swift and Kelce narrative. And she says it's 100% fake. It's all publicity. It's huge for the NFL. And like I said, Brian, it's 100% confirmed that they made $330 million. Well, okay, not really quite. But yeah, they could be making a bunch of money on it. And of course, they can push their Pfizer ads and what have you, and push propaganda, because Taylor Swift also, I wouldn't say is, I have nothing personal against her, but they are using her to push propaganda, which they often do. Now, back in the 70s, I think the CIA probably, took out, not in the 70s, they took out John Lennon, I think, in much in part because powerful celebrities like that counter, the narratives of the establishment are a big threat. But if they can get these celebrities on their side and use them to push their propaganda, that can be very effective, especially for the young people. I'm going to pull up another one. This one's weird, and I don't know how much to believe in it. So let's just assume all these pictures are fake. This is from Dom Lucra, the breaker of narratives. You don't know Taylor Swift like I do. I don't know who this dude is, but he looks obviously super creepy. I'm not judging her on her past, but I'm not exactly sure I don't know that much about her background. Saying they saw Taylor Swift endorse Joe Biden, which wasn't surprising, considering 95% of her songs are about choosing the wrong guy. And this was kind of unfair. Napoleon Dynamite, Taylor Swift in drag. But this guy here, this dude is talking about how, I don't want to get into all of this, but that she could be, being used as the new propaganda celebrity. I don't know how much, because they've talked about, like, Katy Perry has hung out with Marina Abramovich, and some of these other people are kind of like Lil Nas X is another
Ladies
one.
and gentlemen, that is a
too much, but it shows Taylor Swift here performing in front of this big serpent. It's like they show these celebrities, they're hanging out with kids. He's making a comparison that this might be she looks similar to Aleister Crowley's daughter. That might be a reach. It's an interesting video, but I don't know how much to buy into that.
I mean, the side by side, they look so.
Oh, you've seen this before.
Oh yeah, like, what was that from, like, Sally Jesse Raphael or one of those TV shows, Donahue or something?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they the side by side, they look nearly identical, and yeah, she's been accused of, putting witchcraft and spells into her live performances. That's nothing new. I mean, right. You want to talk edgy? Try not doing that. Everybody's doing that.
Well, they start out wholesome.
When everybody starts getting a tattoo, the only punk thing to do is to not get a tattoo. You know what's actually punk? Not getting a tattoo. Like when everybody starts doing the satanic thing, it's like, yeah, that's kind of lame. Everybody's doing that. It's like, what would be really cool? Not doing that. And the NFL has, how many times, Blake, been accused of putting all of this imagery into every one of their halftime performances, casting spells upon, the globe at the same exact time. I mean, it's all kind of wrapped up together. It's just, I feel like what's happening, Blake, is the world is waiting for her official Joe Biden / Democrat Party announcement. She was on video with her family in behind the scenes footage discussing how she wants to get involved and she has to support the Democrats. And it just, Travis being out there with Pfizer, it all just seems like the deep state Democrat pushes for Travis and Kelce and Pfizer and Bud Light in the NFL. They're all just going to push as hard as they can because the Democrats have no policy position that people are happy with.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And then a part of it is just this whole getting these young people and getting them under the influence of some of these megastars. So this guy's pointing out that they all show up and they're all like wholesome. They're all with children. And then they go on to the dark stuff. And then here's Billie Eilish. Again, she's hanging out all these little kids. She's the next big pop superstar. She's so sweet and nice. And then the next thing you know, she's doing like weird satanic looking stuff, which is super creepy. Here's Lil Nas X. Look how wholesome that is. And all the little kids, and they got their cowboy hats on. And the next thing you know, he's doing like this weird, blatantly homosexual thing with the devil. That was creepy. And then blood in the shoes. That was also super creepy. So yeah, it seems to be a theme. They're trying to get the kids under their spell, and they want them to tune into the halftime show. And I don't even who's playing this year. Brian, I should know this, and I don't.
Usher.
Well, is he? I don't know that much about him because I'm not a real big fan of that kind of music. But what do you think? Is he going to be on the Hollyweird Satan team, or is he going to do a wholesome halftime show and shock the world?
I don't see Usher as being a part of that club, but let's give it a minute. Let's see what they do. There's no way Usher has the star power to pull off Super Bowl halftime performance on his own. I mean, he's a big name, but he's a big name from 25 years ago. I'm wondering how many special guests he will incorporate to make it star worthy. I just want to play this. This is just a quick short, Blake. Yeah. This is from a topic we discussed several episodes ago, but I just want to play it back again because this isn't just coming out of nowhere. It's because multiple people have been discussing Taylor Swift as a Pentagon asset, a literal Pentagon asset.
She's been blanketed across the sports media entertainment atmosphere. The New York Times just speculated she's a lesbian. And last year's tour broke Ticketmaster. A tour that's revenue tops the GDP of 50 countries. I mean, I like her music. She's all right. But, I mean, have you ever wondered why or how she blew up like this? Well, around 4 years ago,
curious.
The Pentagon Psychological Operations Unit floated turning Taylor Swift into an asset during a NATO meeting.
So this is during a NATO meeting. The idea was put out there.
A psyop for combating online misinformation. Listen.
There you go. So misinformation online must be stopped. So here we go. We need Taylor to participate.
You came in here wanting to understand how you just go out there and counter an information operation. Well, the idea is that social influence can help encourage or promote behavior change.
So they need behavior change promoted. So you need some popular people to be out there.
Like a peaceful
right.
Operation.
They're not going to listen to Biden and Hillary and all them, but they will listen to Taylor Swift. Oh my God, did you hear what Taylor said? I'm going to vote because she loves Joe Biden, so I'm going to vote for Joe Biden.
Right.
Low info crowd. So yeah, I believe that.
And here's
they're being used.
The final part is she's saying it's a peaceful information operation. She includes Taylor Swift
because she's she's a fairly influential online person.
Taylor Swift's.
There you go. She's a fairly influential online person. So this isn't coming out of left field, Blake. This is them talking about it in their own words. It's her getting involved with the Democrat Party. It's Travis getting involved with Pfizer and Bud Light. It's them being pushed onto everybody to the point where, I mean, we're way past the nauseous phase. This is, I don't know what phase we've entered, but this might be a brand new level raising moment in propaganda.
Yeah, we could absolutely. So yeah, for the Chiefs to be the almost like an underdog limping into the playoffs and then now going on a tear and making it to the Super Bowl, and then amplifying this Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing. It's going to be huge. That's going to be a big storyline, and of course, obviously, she's going to be there. So there's going to be more of that, and who knows what other kind of ads and subliminals and weird stuff is going to be there at that big event that I'm not really looking that much forward to, but I still will watch it. And now you got Vivek Ramaswamy being attacked over the quote tinfoil hat Swift conspiracy theory, suggesting the Super Bowl might be rigged. So we have, the pop star hugging and kissing Kelce after his team made it to the Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. And he says, Vivek says, I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple this fall. Just some wild speculation over here. Let's see how it ages over the next 8 months. Then, as MJ Sedona was saying, Brian, you also thinking about when Taylor Swift called out the Soros family for buying the rights to her music. What the hell is this creepy James Bond villain Hungarian billionaire. What is he doing buying up all of Taylor Swift's music? And then how she came out as a super liberal in 2020. Yeah, there's a lot of this really stinks. So I don't know. Yes, it feels very much astroturfed. Trump supporters have questioned whether the relationship is even real, given Swift's past history of using men to further her career and Kelce's endorsement deals with Pfizer and Bud Light. But of course, the extreme far left wing outlet Daily Beast accused Ramaswamy of pushing the most bizarre election conspiracy theory to date. Aren't they run by Chelsea Clinton? But saying that he was suggesting that the NFL playoffs may be rigged in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. So that he has a tinfoil hat. But I don't know. A lot of people are, it's easy to paint that picture. So I don't know. I think if they can, they would. And they certainly couldn't script this any better to have those two in the Super Bowl.
Well, we're certainly going to find out. And then the new one is when he wins and he wins MVP, is he going to get down on a knee and marry her and then take her to Disney?
God,
and it'll be the next royalty for like the king and queen of America. Royalty, I tells you. Royalty.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, could you imagine? Yeah, if he proposes, yeah. I'm gonna throw up. I might throw up.
Blah. Yeah, so we'll see how it plays out. Anything else to add on this topic, Blake?
I don't think so. I think we cover both of the captions. Did we agree or disagree? Do you think they were rigged, and are they being used for propaganda? Well, which of course I would absolutely agree, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, my quick answer, like I said, number one, I don't buy into the exact number of NFL revenue increase because of the Taylor Swift effect. Whatever. I'm not buying that. Was the game rigged? I watched the game. Maybe I didn't watch every single play. I watched most of the game, and I don't really watch most games if they're not the Cleveland Browns. But I saw the Ravens choke it away, kind of like how the Detroit Lions choked it away. Just a huge play. That was a 7-point swing and maybe more. I forget what happened on the ensuing drive by the Chiefs. Did they score on that Zay Flowers fumble into the end zone? But yeah, they did it to themselves. That replay showed.
It's good.
It was a bad interception, but like he threw it into triple coverage. That's what happens. You kind of lose the benefit of the doubt from the referee when you do something like closing your eyes and chucking it up into three people. You kind of say, well, of course it's going to get intercepted. I don't care that he was hit in the back. He had no chance. So I didn't see it as the game being rigged. I do see it as the NFL trying to capitalize on all of this. But Taylor Swift is obviously being sought after for her Democrat Party allegiance, that they are actively trying to recruit her to become more involved politically, like I said. So I expect this to be pushed to its utmost. And it's like Jocelyn says here. She says this really is a storm in a teacup. War is happening, and people are worried about Taylor Swift. Exactly. So that being
circus, got to distract the masses.
Yeah, it really is. So on that point, let's pause and pivot onto the next topic, because there's some serious stuff that is going on in the world, and it's probably about time we get to some of it. So pivoting off of this is a big story that happened over the weekend. And the question is, if you agree or disagree that conflicts in Jordan and Iran will draw the United States into World War III. Before we get into the topic, I want to play this clip kind of setting up the who, what, where, when, why. This is from Judge Janine here, walking through what we know about this drone attack in Jordan.
Let's just jump right in and get your take. I got to tell you, we are not looking for a war with Iran. Iran is sitting there and saying, we can do whatever we want to these people. Look, Joe Biden is terrified of escalation. He really is. He's proven it time and time again. He says.
Now, that point being said, Joe Biden also freed up a bunch of money for Iran to get back. And part of the plan discussed by General Wesley Clark, I believe that General Wesley Clark said that Iran was going to be a part of the 10 countries in 10 years to be invaded. So I don't know exactly what he's anticipating and what he's pulling for, but let's let her continue here.
We will not tolerate it. We will respond, except for the 165 times that they hit us in Iraq and Syria, with many of our soldiers with traumatic brain injury, which is a lifelong injury. And then 2 weeks ago, Joe Biden's beating his chest and he says, Iran got the message. And that was a couple of months after Sullivan says, everything's quiet in the Middle East. I mean, we are clueless and feckless on the world stage. We've given Iran a pass because we don't want to get involved in World War III.
And remember, it was Trump that got involved with Ahmadinejad, or not Ahmadinejad. Blake, I'm forgetting the guy's name. The General Soleimani went and took him out. But under Biden, this is spiraled out of control. Let's let her continue here.
And I think it was Mike Pompeo who said this morning, we may not be at war with Iran, but they're at war with us. And so we've got to try to thread this needle in a way where we recognize they attack us with impunity. We now have soldiers who are dead. They are not stupid. What they did with their drone, they followed an American drone that was returning home to Jordan, and they literally followed it, and the Americans didn't see it, and it killed 3 servicemen and injured 34 others.
And I mean, this is all on the heels of a couple of years of for the most part, that there were not 100%, but for the most part, it was a very calm 4 years of leadership under President Trump on the global scheme, on the global scale of things. And ever since Biden assumed power, seized control of the federal government from Afghanistan to Jordan, you have American troops being killed all over the place, and things just seem to be spiraling further and further out. Let's let her finish, then we'll get your take, Blake.
We've got American hostages being held by Hamas. We don't even know.
Sorry, I don't want to keep pausing here, but for the love of God, we're how many months in and there's U.S. hostages and it's not front page news. It's not leading every broadcast like it would be if it were President Trump as president right now. The stuff that the legacy media ignores and they give Biden a pass on is disgusting. There's Americans being held behind enemy lines right now, and they don't want to talk about it, and they're given a pass.
Know if they're alive at this point. And the latest thing is Joe Biden says today it was wholly uncivilized. Give me a break. Right. Get in there and start fighting. And let me just say one more thing. What did Trump do? He killed Soleimani.
All right.
Enforce the sanctions. He is the person. If we look at the chart of where Iran was financially under Biden and what they are doing now under Trump and where they are now with Biden, it's very clear they hurt. We bleed them financially. What we allow them to do is to sell oil on the open market, give them $6 billion of money for the hostages. And today, Biden had nothing on his schedule. Nothing. Did he call the families? What did he do?
So far be it from me to ever give Fox News any credit or airtime here, but just to kind of walk through the who, what, where, when, why of this drone attack, Blake, all of a sudden we are staring into the face of, it's not like World War III wasn't on the table before. It's not like Civil War isn't on the table. It's all just happening at once. It's all of the threads are being pulled apart from the blanket at the same exact time. Or Weezer, they're pulling from the strings on your sweater. Pull this thread as I walk away. Blake, what are your thoughts on this escalation?
Well, it's disturbing to see, and I don't want to see us embroiled in a conflict with Iran. So I don't know. I don't want anybody to overreact to anything, and I don't want some of these people being too influential, as say Senator Lindsey Graham, who was brutally mocked by conservatives after demanding that the U.S. hit Iran now, hit them hard. So they love his love for war. Then he was roasted by fellow Republicans, which was good. Yes, it's awful tragedy, and obviously that's people are on high alert. We had 3 U.S. service members killed, but that doesn't mean we rush into war with a very powerful military and drag us in. Who knows? It's already, how much time did we and money and people's lives did we lose in Iraq and Afghanistan? Do we really want to get embroiled with Iran? I don't know, unless there's something major. This is minor, but it's awful. But we don't want, to rush to anything, because if Lindsey Graham had his way, we'd already be over there dropping bombs, and that would escalate very quickly. So Lindsey Graham, he says he's sending his condolences to the families of our fallen heroes, also wishing a full recovery to those injured. There to protect the American homeland. Yes, absolutely. I agree there. But then he says the Biden administration can take out all the Iranian proxies they like, but will not deter Iranian aggression. I am calling on the Biden administration to strike targets of significance inside Iran, not only as reprisal for the killing, but as a deterrence, blah, blah, blah. And he's also talking to Secretary Austin's efforts to deter aggression against our forces has failed miserably. He's lost confidence. He says, hit Iran, hit them hard, which people were calling him out. Yes, the war hawk. Yeah, maybe we should have, Lindsey go over there first, or maybe we should just trade him. We can let Lindsey Graham be a hostage of the Iranians. That's okay. We can just leave him over there. Shut the hell up, you effeminate rhino creep. Hit them with what? They and them pronouns. Yes, our military is turned into an embarrassment. After, of course, he wants to give all of our weaponry to Ukraine, and how much money. And now we're going to have, and now we got a border crisis in Texas. Now we've got, help out Israel, and now we want to go bomb Iran. Doesn't sound like a very good idea to me. We're going to be stretched pretty thin. And we don't have a lot of recruitment numbers in the Army getting in there. There's also, Laura Loomer's calling it war porn. So probably a bad idea. But there's never been a war or conflict that Lindsey doesn't like or to try to get us involved with. But I think we should ignore those voices for now and hope that we can patch this over. So I don't know. I guess that would be my take on that, Brian.
Yeah, I was kind of looking here, just kind of going through it, and that's your one of your favorite quotables, Syrian girl. She says that 3 U.S. soldiers are dead, 34 injured in a drone strike on an illegal U.S. base in Syria, not in Jordan, as the Pentagon claims. Do not come to Syria to steal oil and die for Israel. Time to go home. It just feels like everything is being pulled apart at the seams, Blake. You mentioned the recruiting numbers. I was reading a report that said that they're reducing the requirements to join, and that essentially what this means is that the U.S. is definitely going to war because we're out of people. I was reading reports about conscription over in Ukraine, where people are being kidnapped and pulled off the street. If you're, under whatever age it is, 50 or 60, and you're just not returning to your family, you're just being put into the meat grinder on the front lines. Like, the people who want war are pushing for it. And once again, it's just, here's your helpful reminder. War is declared by Congress. It's not declared by the president. So I don't know how this is all going to shake out, but I mean, Blake, it's happening on every front, from Gaza to what is it, Hong Kong? Or no, Taiwan, sorry. Gaza to Taiwan, over here in the Red Sea, the Houthis, Iran, the U.S. southern border. It's just like everything is peeling apart at once. Is it just that everyone realizes dad's not home? So like the house party just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the people on the global stage are getting crazier and crazier because nobody is holding anybody accountable right now. The stark contrast between the relative calm of 4 years under Trump to the utter chaos of 3+ years of Biden is stunning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's weird because everyone thought Trump was going to be the bad guy and starting all these wars. This is what they thought the Trump administration was going to look like. But as we can see, it's not. It's been the complete opposite. So they got what they wanted, right? They got Biden back in there, and look at all the problems we have going on. Yeah, interesting to note. I didn't see that take from. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just had a quick point to toss in there. Do you think that this is what they thought Trump was going to be, or is it that this is what they projected what they are and lied about Trump to scare people away from voting for him? I think it's a difference. I think when you get a story wrong, that's one type of mistake or screw up or negativity. But when you intentionally paint something incorrectly for political gain, I think it's much more malicious. And I don't think that people actually, to the numbers that were yapping about it, I don't think people actually thought Trump was going to be that way. It's just what people were repeating because they thought it would hurt Trump. And I think the second one is actually worse, Blake. If you believe that stuff, maybe in the first term, I could understand some of it. But by the fourth year of relative peace, and now 8 years in with President Trump being a political candidate, a political figure, I think anybody repeating that stuff now, watching the war-hungry Democrat deep state party, they're completely disingenuous and they're professional liars, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, yeah, the media is. They're not actually doing journalism. I don't know why we keep referring to them as journalists. They're just regime propagandists that recite the talking points and do what they're told. But yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Syrian Girl. I didn't see that take on it, but that would definitely change things as well. And she was just on Alex Jones the other day. I didn't get to hear it. I just saw her. She posted it on Telegram. So yeah, she's got an interesting perspective being native to that region. So interesting character. So I don't know, but that's all I've got on that one.
All right. Well, it's just we got to pay attention. I mean, any day now. I believe Trump was out this weekend saying that it's a 100% certainty that the United States is going to get attacked. I think we're pretty close to 100% as well. So if there's ever been a time to get prepared and get ready, get to know your neighbors, get some supplies on hands, get yourself a little bit more physically fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit, this is it. So while we're talking about sports, by the way, World War III is looming. And yeah, we don't want to have a rude awakening here. So let's pay attention. All right. I guess let's bounce to the next topic here. You're watching the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. Follow Blake. He's a TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News. Make sure you're subscribed to the Agree to Disagree show on Spotify for the podcast. It's called the Agree to Disagree show. On Rumble, we're the New American Media. On X, we're at American_media_. On Facebook, we have a page, the New American Media, and a group, TNAM's the Agree to Disagree show. On Instagram, we're the New American Media, and on Truth Social, we are the New American Media. Follow us in all those places. Oh, Telegram, TNAM and TNAM chat. All right, let's continue with the next topic, shall we? The next one, we're talking about a war over in Europe. We're talking about Ukraine. We're talking about potentialities in Taiwan, Hong Kong. We're talking about the Red Sea, Jordan. But there's also something much closer to home.
Okay.
What happened? Did two of them play? That was weird.
Yeah. Well, the first one was lame, so I brought up the second one.
Oh, okay. Hey, you put them there. You know what that reminds me of? Pulp Fiction. Do you know that whole movie, Blake?
Of course. I've probably seen it 50 times.
What are you laughing at? Your clothes. They're your clothes, MFer.
Right?
He's wearing like the Banana Slugs t-shirt and the flip-flops or whatever in the backyard, getting hosed off. They're your clothes, MFer. It's like, hey, that's your stinger, MFer. If it's a silly one, swap it out. Okay. Talking about a war at home, Blake. Agree or disagree that this immigration crisis, I love this word. Oh, crisis seems so like there was an earthquake nobody saw happen. Nobody could foresee it. There's this crisis. There's an asteroid heading to Earth. Nobody could have imagined such a thing. This is planned. But this immigration crisis is being deliberately engineered, Blake. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely agree. It's definitely happening. And this is one of the best articles I've seen on it. This is what been one of my favorite writers for years, Brandon Smith out of the Alt Market, saying why the immigration crisis is being deliberately engineered. It's a cultural replacement. There's absolutely no doubt elements of our own government are deliberately encouraging the acceleration of illegal immigration across the southern border, and they are actively sabotaging any attempts to stop the madness. And there are two questions we need to ask. Why are they doing this, and what can be done to stop them? So, federal government recently challenged Texas efforts to install border fencing and barbed wire to prevent the massive influx of foreigners. This after several incidents in which criminals and terrorists have been identified. But anyway, Biden felt the need to intervene. A majority of the Supreme Court has also taken Biden's side, forcing Governor Abbott to declare the situation an invasion that threatens his security and America's as well. It's become a big showdown, and it needs to happen sooner the better. So let's see. It's an emergency measure used by civilizations for thousands of years, the expulsion of unwanted or destructive groups. The cultures that don't protect their own gates end up being erased or absorbed into a completely different population that may not hold the same values and principles. The majority of nations on this planet today have strict immigration rules, yet America and the EU, the only regions attacked for wanting to limit the flow. So the open borders propaganda is part of the larger establishment agenda. Been active. Of course, we got 300,000 border violations just in December alone. It's unsustainable. And these even these big cities are being overwhelmed. Homeless shelters have been inundated. And Democratic mayors are finally getting on board with the national emergency idea. But it's also, it's about creating a social destabilization. It kind of ties into that Cloward-Piven strategy, which he's saying is not quite telling you the full picture here. But there's also a thing called Operation Garden Plot in martial law. So I don't know if you knew this, Brian. I did not. 1968, the U.S. Department of Defense, at the request of the government, drafted a civil disturbance plan called Operation Garden Plot, which outlined what was essentially a martial law response to a large-scale social breakdown. And one of the main factors listed as the trigger for martial law was the uncontrolled mass migration of minorities into the U.S., as well as riots by those minorities in light of economic uncertainty.
This was what year? Did you say 1968?
Yes. Yeah, way back in the day. Yeah, I mean, there's Operation Northwoods when they were going to blame Cuba for an attack. Right? Huh?
That was Cuba and Florida?
Yeah, that was going to be planes painted to look like they were from Cuba, like attacking the United States, and then we'd blame Cuba and force ourselves to go to war there and into a wider scale war with just communism across the world. But yes, Garden Plot has provisions designed to install a long-lasting domestic military presence in the United States if deemed necessary. And it was also the planned installation of kind of what's, the FEMA camps, which we know today, are detention facilities meant to hold large numbers of refugees. So these programs were accidentally exposed during the Iran-Contra hearings 20 years later, 1987. Because they were kept secret from a majority of representatives, even in Congress. So, in other words, political elites designed a set of operations to swiftly impose martial law if a migrant disaster occurred. But were these measures meant to solve the crisis, or were they meant to use the crisis as an excuse to put boots on the ground in the U.S. and permanently end whatever constitutional protections we have left? So it might be the plan of the establishment now to keep the borders open until illegals overwhelm the system, and then the public is willing to accept martial law. So it's basically taking Cloward and Piven a couple of steps further, and then the domestic terrorists in D.C. can use that as an excuse to make a big power grab. And of course, these people will be used as cultural replacement tools. They often denigrated by as a racist conspiracy by white people who are afraid to lose power, but it's ridiculous. And they call it decolonization. The replacement going on is not so much about replacing white people as it is about replacing Western culture. So you open the floodgates because a lot of these people come from socialist systems and they have no understanding of the Bill of Rights, of individual freedom, of the Constitution. And they can be used as a voting bloc. The establishment can dilute American culture of independence and use the tyranny of the majority. And they keep, Brian, they keep using that buzzword, democracy, democracy. It's an attack on our democracy. Well, democracy is kind of mob rule. That's why the forefathers were against democracy and made a republic.
They say democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, you get the rule by majority, and then you won't have the Bill of Rights. You can just vote away anything just on a majority of whatever given day that is. So, and these people, they don't understand the whole collectivism, socialism, and authoritarianism. So it could totally destroy our country from within. Western civilization, Western culture, and then we can bring back FEMA detentions. No amnesty, no asylum, no welfare, no subsidies. That's what they were saying, is maybe we have to remove some of these people before they are used against us. It's a very sad situation and a very much manufactured crisis. Well, what do you know? Of course, that's going down right now. Texas National Guard told to hold the line against federal agents. Now we got Republicans backing Abbott, but that kind of ties into another story that we have here. And we also got this one, Governor Abbott boasting Texas helped transport over 102,000 migrants deeper into the U.S. And some people are very skeptical, Brian. I don't know about you, but that perhaps, Abbott's in on it in a way, because he is bringing these immigrants in. He's sending them to sanctuary cities. But is that all part of that grander plan?
By the way, let me wrap something up. It was Steve Van Zandt. I was thinking of Ronnie Van Zandt. There were actor vibes and musician vibes, but a guy named Steve was the father who nicknamed her 12 Gauge for the Van Zandt girl, who was the the model for Nike and Columbia Sportswear, and the MMA girl Paige Van Zandt, very popular. I just meant to close up that loose end. Yeah, Abbott, is he actually working for the deep state, moving these people? I brought this up on the last show, right? We were talking about this on Thursday, and I said, I mean, in a way, it's like, it's clever of Ron DeSantis and Governor Greg Abbott from Florida and Texas to be like, oh, migrants, here you go, Martha's Vineyard. Here you go, New York and Chicago. But like, this is what they want. They should just be put on a bus back across the border. Like, shooting them across haphazardly into the United States, wherever they want. By the way, a country that says, oh, there's a new variant. Oh, you can't work your job unless you test for this thing. You got to inject yourself with this thing. You can't exist in modern society. You can't fly on a plane. Oh, by the way, millions of people who've been untested and unvetted. We have no idea what you have. Yeah, go ahead. Parts unknown. Get a free flight, get a free bus trip to anywhere USA. None of it makes sense, Blake. So yeah, I don't like this idea of just taking people and shuttling them into the inner parts of the United States. If there's a reason why if there's a legitimate demographic reason, and you and I have discussed this before, what if some sort of mystical, magical, unknowable medical condition is sweeping the country and they expect all of the young people to no longer be with us within the next decade and a half? Okay. Well, that's something that feels pretty important if that were the case. I'm not making the case that there is, that is accurate. But if that is the case, we need to know about it. If we need to go to war, and the only way that we're going to get enough people to go die on the front lines is by letting all these military-aged men in, conscripting them into the United States military service, and say, hey, if you fight for us, you can win your freedom, like the Hessians. We pay them we pay the highest bidder. Whether you're working for BlackRock or who am I thinking of? Halliburton, any of these quasi-military operations. What if this is the carrot and the stick? And it's like, hey, we know people want to be on Team USA. Well, we'll show up, fight in the military, and we'll give you a chance. We'll give you. I just want to know what the hell's going on here. This is obviously intentional. And the answer that we're getting, it's a non-answer, Blake. We're not getting actual answers. So in the absence of answers, of course, all we could possibly think about would be the most dangerous, most ludicrous options out there. And when we're considering what's actually happening at the southern border, when we're trying to figure out who's responsible here, who is actually trustworthy, who's on which side, are these people that we're letting in, are they actually Americans? Are these people that are going to agree with some sort of American ideal? Or are these just humans? Are these just people who are still playing for the other team? It's essentially letting somebody into your team's locker room, but they're still playing for the other team. Imagine a Super Bowl contending team. You let them in to get your whole game plan together, but they're actually trying to bring you down from the inside. I just want to play this real quick because it kind of ties in about allegiances and loyalties. This is Bridget Gabriel. This came out about Ilhan Omar over the weekend on Newsmax. Let's hear what she has to say about Ilhan Omar and her alliances.
Look, Eric, let me make something clear. Well, I'm a naturalized citizen. When we become naturalized citizens, we raise our hand in the swearing ceremony and we say, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, forsaking all others. I don't give a flying kite what country we were raised in. We came to America to be Americans, to become Americans. We pledge loyalty to America. That's how the immigrants that made it all the way through the history of our nation, that's how they did it. My children don't speak a word of Arabic because I wanted to make sure my children were Americans and they understood that they are number one Americans before anything else.
And I beg of somebody from the Biden administration, I beg of you to hear the plan of how you're getting these people assimilated. Are these people that speak English? Have they taken a constitutional test? Have they committed to join the United States? These are just people you're dumping all over the country to sleep on the streets, to sleep in airports, to sleep at the police stations. God knows who their loyalties belong to. That guy on video saying, oh, you're not smart enough to know who I am, but you're going to know who I am soon. Whatever that threat was, it's obviously
now,
a threat.
Listening to Ilhan Omar talk about the Somali community, let's not forget, it was out of that Somali community, her community, that 43 terrorists went to the Middle East to fight in the holy war against America. The first American suicide bomber was a Somali American from that community. We need to make it very clear to our people that we need representation in Congress, those who represent America no other nation.
So the issue,
because Ilhan Omar was out there discussing her allegiances to Somalia the other day. She was saying she has a very special and close relationship with the president of Somalia. She calls him her uncle, and he calls her his girl. And she also refers to him as, quote, our president, end quote, while the entire audience in Minnesota, Blake, your homeland, cheers. So America is being taken over by people who don't have an allegiance to the United States. So what's your take on all of this, worked in with unfettered immigration being bussed to places unknown, so that more places like, Columbus has become a Somali stronghold. So have areas in Minnesota. So have, Dearborn, Michigan is Middle East. Like there are enclaves, just like you read about, where there are no-go zones in Europe. America is changing demographically into something that I don't recall anyone ever discussing or voting on here. And I know you have a unique take with those Minnesota ties.
Well, yeah, perhaps. It's not been a great mix per se. It's a weird experiment that they ran there, and that's very disturbing. You can embrace those people if they were happy to be, Minnesotans and Americans, but if there seems to be more loyalty to Somalia, then they can F right off and go back to Somalia for all I care. So you embrace this country because you love our freedoms and our ideals, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. If you want to change that, then you don't belong here. It's very, very simple. And so, yes.
And Dreamer,
being destroyed from within. And even as Jocelyn is saying here, the Rome conscripted the Huns and barbarians. They turned on Rome and Rome fell. Yes, you're going to break down our culture. We won't recognize it anymore. But I mean, if these people were all like wanted to be here, they were all like MAGA Republicans or, whatever, Bill of Rights, love the forefathers, love the ideals, wanted to embrace that culture, then they probably wouldn't be allowed here. So yes,
well, and that's what you've seen from Obama's administration when Cubans are trying to get into Florida. He's gone to great lengths, and when I say he's asleep at the switch. It's the Obama-Biden criminal cabal who surrounds him. They're doing everything they can to keep Cubans away. Why? Because the Cubans trying to flee are so sick of the failed communism. Dreamer Ultra in the chat, by the way, on YouTube, subscribe, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. He says Abbott is a rhino, in his opinion. He continues, he goes, these people, they will not fight. They'll simply go home instead. He goes, more likely, they'll fight us. This is a conversation between Matt Walsh and Mike Cernovich. Matt Walsh says, one thing in that Ilhan Omar clip is that she speaks with such pride and admiration for the failed state of Somalia, a country that contributes nothing of significance to the world besides piracy and terrorism. Our representatives rarely speak that way about our own nation. Omar certainly doesn't, but few of them do. Maybe we should ask ourselves why we keep electing people who can't muster the same affinity for our country that Somalian refugees have for the country they fled from. And what the response from that was Cernovich saying, Ilhan Omar was born in Somalia, cared for in Western-funded refugee camps in Kenya. She was brought over to Minnesota by Catholic Charities and never had to work a day in her life. And yet, she still hates America and Israel. So, I mean, it's just absurd to just allow any sort of person, regardless of affiliation, to storm into the country, set up shop God knows where, waiting for God knows what sleeper cells to be activated on God knows what call. To what benefit? To what benefit of the United States is this? I have yet to hear for what benefit are we allowing these people into this country to succeed based on the fact that there's no discernible skill set. They don't know the language of the land. They're getting temporary free money. What happens when that money runs out? And by the way, this free money that's coming in, what are the marching orders from people giving that money? And are those people pro-American or not? This is all sorts of wrong. Jocelyn says England is a warning that the draft is coming. Here in the U.S., the military just dropped the enlistment standards. High school graduation degree or GED is no longer required. Perfect. Perfect. Who's voting for war? I don't know. I haven't heard Congress declare a war, and I certainly don't see the United States residents and the United States citizens clamoring for another forever war to send their kids, their family members, their people from their communities off to get sent home and die in body bags for God knows what. So, Blake, continue on here. What else do you have to add to this mess?
Brian, I think you're just racist and xenophobic. We should welcome these people. Yeah, but no, they're definitely breaking us from within. We've always been their biggest obstacle, our embracement of freedom here in this country. And if the globalists can take us down, then they control the whole planet. The rest of the world will follow suit. They don't like the free speech or the armed society or any of that, or people run by God and not the king. So it's not good for them. But yeah, they're breaking us, and they're so far succeeding right now, and it's very disturbing. And yes, you've got a lot of other countries and a lot of other populists speaking out. You got the Dutch election winner here, Wilders, saying the country's becoming hell on earth with the mass immigration. And yes, it's not so much like a war on whites, it's a war on Western culture. And these people are going to unwittingly vote, against our ideals here. And we won't recognize this country anymore. But that's the point. As long as these elites can stay in power, they don't care. So they can't afford to have MAGA and Trump rise up as their obstacle. So we got a big showdown brewing on the border.
It's a damn shame what the world's come to for people like me and people like you.
Yeah. So
showdown at the border.
Yep, and a showdown for the election here. We shall see.
We shall. All right. We're turning into the home stretch here on the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. We'll bounce into the next series of topics here. The next two are connected.
Or we to mention right quickly on that one.
Perhaps I jumped the gun a little too soon, Blake. Continue.
No worry, I forgot to mention that. But I mean, they are supposedly, again, it feels like this has been going on for a while here. The House will vote to impeach the Secretary Mayorkas ASAP. Speaker Johnson reveals. I don't know. Seems like this has been going on. Seems like this has been like a topic multiple times already, and nothing is getting done. I don't know why, but Mayorkas.
There's no good reason to delay this. And Kamala Harris is the border czar, and Biden is overseeing all of this. You need to impeach all of them immediately for dereliction of duty and for treason. This is leaving us incredibly unsafe. I mean, this needs to happen immediately.
Yeah.
There's no reason this is taking so long. It should be Speaker Mike Johnson as president immediately. This is such an abdication of responsibility. It's not even up for debate. Make the senators, you say, well, the House might narrowly pass it, but it'll never get through the Senate. Put them on record for when they attack, for when the attack comes. Put them on record and say, no, they granted Mayorkas and Biden and Harris safe harbor. They welcomed the invasion. Put them on record so that they're washed away in the next election. Make them say that they're okay with this. What in the world is taking so long, Blake?
I don't get it either. So it's the globalist takeover. And as long as they can just keep, running this scam and just busting these people in, flying them in, leaving the border open, the more it helps them in the long run. Protect themselves against, a real insurrection.
For real. Yeah, the insurrection where nobody was told to bring a gun and nobody fired a shot.
Right.
That insurrection, the one where you decided you're going to show up and play chess.
Yep.
We're going to play checkers on the front lawn. If I win, you're going to give me your government without a single shot being fired. The mostly peaceful protest. These people pushing these agendas are so full of it, Blake.
Right.
Jocelyn saying, don't hold your breath.
Oh, sorry, I missed one. I was just going to say to Deb, good to have you here. Sorry you got to go, but there's no show tonight. There's no Toxically Masculine Tuesday tonight. Just as a show note, I think Mike had to go to the dentist and he had some, he's going to go under for some extensive stuff. So we are going to postpone that for another date this week. We're not quite sure yet, but always great to have you, Deb. Have a good one. And then, yes, Brian, sorry I cut you off there. Don't hold your breath. Not enough votes in a corrupt Congress who only protect themselves and their self-enrichment activities. And yeah, that's the problem. Even if they do vote to impeach him, it could pass the House, but the Senate, they need 2/3 majority. And of course, the Democrats aren't going to cave.
Put them on record then.
Yeah, but the people need to see this. The people need to know this.
Put them on record.
That out there in the news, and it forces the even the so-called leftist media, liberal media, legacy media to cover it. At least that's somewhat helpful.
Exactly. That brought up 2 points, Blake. You just reminded me. Number one, I would like to get the schedule of when Mike goes live, because you and I have been talking about maybe doing something in the evening, and I just want to make sure I have the schedule right so we don't overlap. Additionally, I had a thought. I hadn't thought of it or to mention it to you yet, but I want to invite Mike onto an episode of the Agree to Disagree show. We share the studio. If you could toss him that invitation, it's an open invite. Next time you chat with the man. But yeah, it's another idea that I've had. It's like, hey, we'll promote his show, and we should have him on sometime. Put the offer out. Yeah, cross-pollinate. Why not? Of course. There's people that watch the YouTube channel and the Rumble channel for the New American Media who don't know Mike and his work. So, let's draw them over to his show and his stuff. But yeah, even if the Senate can't get 2/3 across, put them all on record. Make this next election all about.
So what do we think, guys, about just a permanent move of the Agree to Disagree show to more of a, laid back night show?
Yeah, at some point that might make the most sense to to do it in the evening. If Blake can stay cogent and coherent long enough into the evening, so that he can enjoy his relaxation time and not cut into that. That's part of it. And yeah,
well, it's not so much, dude. It's a lot of stuff. It eats up 2 key afternoons, and I've always got a revolve schedule around. It creates a busy day. Whereas an evening, and I'm tired of having to like rush out the door and leave early. It looks weird, but yes, have a little bit more of an open-ended, laid back, interact with the audience type of show. So I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. More of a casual nighttime fun time. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Blake, I think both could exist, because I got 2 other people saying that there should be an evening show, like something like that, a different type of show,
just
if you will.
The format. It's we do love to interact with you guys, but I don't know. It's just a different format. Whether you want to run a fast-paced news show, get everything under an hour, which would be ideal, or if we just want to kind of keep it open-ended and have a little more interaction. So.
Jocelyn says something along those lines. Mike may not like the way you chat with the audience. Hey, that's why everybody does their own thing differently. We all drive our vehicles the way that we drive our vehicles.
Yeah, I don't know if Mike's going to like the 2.5 hour marathon of yes. So it might not quite fit. But
we've been on for an hour and 20 minutes, Blake,
right,
and we're wrapping up on the way home. We've condensed the timeline per your adamant request.
Okay.
And let's bounce into the next topic. Blake, agree or disagree that the left's lawfare is destroying American democracy? It's a republic, by the way.
Right. Well, yeah, but they love to say democracy. I think they're trying to get that into everybody's mind. That's what they actually want. They want a mob rule society.
Insurrection, democracy. Well, insurrection, democracy.
Right. Just like they want to get rid of the Electoral College and just turn it into one big popular vote. That also favors democracy. That's exactly what that is. And if people want to just, get rid of the Second Amendment, they could. You have, 50,000 people over 49,000 people, and the next thing you know, you just vote stuff away. Whereas it's the republic, you have certain things that you cannot get rid of, like the Bill of Rights. So, but yeah, the lawfare will destroy American democracy. This is going to tie into all the E. Jean Carroll, and also there's a lot of stuff. There's the way that they're going after Trump, and they're not allowing many people to bring evidence forth. That's another thing that makes it look like a democracy and not a republic. We are losing that rule of law, and they're just setting up these show trials to target their political opposition. So it's absolutely insane. It's terrifying. They're changing the way our country was set up, but there are no coincidences. Clear-cut election interference. And of course, the people that did the COVID lockdowns, the George Floyd riots, all the election stuff, Biden's heist. We got E. Jean Carroll's getting $83 million. Now that will be appealed, but it's amazing that was allowed to go forth, considering she has no credibility, and Trump was not allowed to show evidence. So it is.
That was the most kangaroo of kangaroo courts I've ever seen. Let me just play this really quick clip. It addresses a couple of things, but there's so many more things left unsaid. I mean, this judge needs to be disbarred immediately for putting someone up in a kangaroo court and not allowing any of the 30 completely viable common sense defenses. You were just in front of a firing squad with a predetermined
If you watch
outcome.
the fake news day in and day out, you will not know the basic elements of this case. That this woman, E. Jean Carroll, doesn't even know the date of the alleged incident, doesn't know the year it occurred, that there is absolutely no evidence to back it up. No security camera footage, no DNA evidence, no police report. No, she wrote it in a book and she showed up on some fake news shows. This woman has serious, serious issues.
The word rape carries so many sexual connotations. This was not sexual.
I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy. Think of the fantasies.
The jury wasn't able to
it's
see
a
that.
fantasy.
How about
She
these
cooked up a
tweets
fantasy in her
where
own
she
head.
made some horrendously awful, disgusting observations about sex, men, women, herself. Also the fact that years after the alleged assault, she said she was a fan of The Apprentice. I mean, massive Apprentice fan. Jury wasn't allowed to see that. This is insane, folks. It really is.
So
she wasn't traumatized seeing her rapist on The Apprentice mocking her, knowing that he's gotten away with it all of these years as he threw himself on her at some dressing room and some fancy schmancy store in Manhattan. I mean, it's such a bullshit story.
No evidence. There's nothing on a dress. The dress she claims she was wearing wasn't in production at the time. The entire story is lifted out of a Law and Order SVU episode. Had he been able to present any of these 100 reasons why this woman cannot be taken seriously, and that there's no evidence supporting this claim, there's no video proof, there's no forensic proof, she doesn't even know when it happened. This is not a case. This is just a political witch hunt. It's election interference of the highest level during the election season. I mean, the judge that allowed this does not have the right to be a judge. This person shows why people like him should never be allowed anywhere near the judge's circuit.
Right. Yeah. It should be in textbooks for legal students. Yeah. Law students. She couldn't recall the date, month, season, or year it happened. Never told anybody about it. The dress she claims to have been wearing didn't exist yet. A description of the dressing room at the Bergdorf Goodman was inaccurate, making your sequence of events impossible. Lawsuit was bankrolled by Jeffrey Epstein pal and Democrat and Nikki Haley mega donor Reid Hoffman.
That part, Blake.
Yep.
Can you elaborate on that part a little bit more about Reid Hoffman, what we know about him, who he's funding, what else he's doing, like just anything else you can do to elaborate on the Reid Hoffman part?
I just know he's
that is so telling. And by the way, one more point, they had to change the laws of New York to retroactively undo the fact that it was past the statute of limitations, or they did it right before. Under the policy of New York, Trump was not eligible to be persecuted for this. They changed the law specifically to go after Trump. This is so obvious what was going on. But the Reid Hoffman connection is just as telling as the fact that they had to change an existing law to just go get Orange Man bad with this story.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So yeah, this fat pervy creep, Reid Hoffman, who was at Epstein's Island, co-founder of LinkedIn, is targeting his political opposition, Trump, and he's bankrolling Nikki Haley. He's a deep state guy. And yes, as you said, Democrats created a law. It's called the Adult Survivors Act in 2022 that enabled her lawsuit to proceed. Yes, her accusation is the exact plot line of an episode of Law and Order, one of her favorite shows. Apprentice, also one of her favorite shows, and she has a history of falsely accusing men of rape.
How about that part? How about that? What do we know about who she's falsely accused of rape? I've seen this.
I don't know all the stories. I just know this. It's Les Moonves. He was like one of the top guy. I think it's CBS. I could be wrong on that, but a major TV exec.
Do we know about that one? Did that go to court, or was that settled out of court, or did it?
I'm not 100%. I don't know all the backstory of that, but that's a big deal that she's done this before, and her view of rape is very skewed. Thinks of it as sexy because it's fantasy. She's cooking them up in her head. This never happened, and any allowing of evidence in that courtroom would have exonerated Trump, and it would have been laughed out of court. But they didn't want to do that. So yes, it's a banana republic, kangaroo court. They are changing the laws, and they are targeting their political opposition.
And Reid Hoffman is actively supporting Nikki Haley, and he actively supported this lawsuit. Like he's the mastermind of several different things right now. He might arguably have more influence than George Soros, obviously, because Soros handed off the keys to his son. But Reid Hoffman appears to be the number one puppet string holder at the moment. Am I wrong to say that?
At least in this case, at least in this particular example, yes. I don't know if he's got Soros money, not even close, but he does have enough money to be, palling around with, Epstein, and to be, targeting Trump like this.
But
Absolutely.
he's got Nikki Haley in his back pocket. He's got
Right.
E. Jean Carroll on the front page of the news. It's like whatever he's doing is succeeding at what he intended, which is to harm Trump during a political campaign to cause maximum election interference.
Right. And I think, Brian, you shared this earlier from Byron York saying
I
that
share a lot of stuff.
well, just calm down there. All right. Trump lawyer says defense just learned that E. Jean Carroll judge was once a mentor to Carroll's lawyer.
Thank you.
That's also concerning there.
How could you possibly connect the mentor to the mentee in a judge-prosecutor relationship? You must recuse yourself. You don't have an option. You can't ignore that. And you cannot say, well, I didn't know I was supposed to. Yes, you do. That's part of getting your law degree. You know that you must recuse yourself when situations are that chummy. You absolutely must. And it's 100% impossible for them to deny that they knew each other. It's obvious.
Yeah, they're doing things you just cannot do. When has this ever happened? You have to have your day in court, and you get the discovery, and you get to present your evidence. But they are changing that. Now we are becoming a banana republic, third world country, where they can just say, no, you're not allowed to show evidence. We want to frame this one way, and you're going down. And they awarded her $83 million. And she's gloating about it here on the giddy, gloating E. Jean Carroll on the Rachel Maddow show to talk about her winning the judgment against Trump, about the alleged defamation over comment. I mean, 83 plus these lawsuits are just getting ridiculous with the amount of money that they're getting.
And by the way, they asked for 24, so then they took it up to 48, and they came back with 83. It's just it's reminiscent of the Alex Jones $1 trillion lawsuit.
Yeah.
Like, make it one quadrillion while you're at it. Like these numbers don't even make sense. There's punitive measures that are taken, and then there's just numbers that are so astronomical. It really is the Dr. Evil $1 billion with the pinky up to the corner of his mouth.
Oh yeah, no, and she can't wait. She's so happy about it, and it's disgusting that she's paraded around with this propagandist Maddow, appearing with her smiling attorneys. 80-year-old Carroll gushed to Maddow about wanting to take her on a shopping spree with Trump's money. It's the first thing, Rachel, you and I are going to go shopping. We're going to get completely new wardrobes, new shoes, penthouse, blah blah blah. And it's pretty sad. Let's watch a clip from this.
Some of Trump's money that you're about to get to help shore up women's rights. Do you know what that might be, what that might look like?
Yes, Rachel. Yes.
Tell me.
I had such great ideas for all the good I'm going to do with this money. First thing, Rachel, you and I are going to go shopping. We're going to get completely new wardrobes, new shoes, motorcycle for Crowley.
Doesn't she sound like Nancy Pelosi? That's weird.
Yes, she does.
It's like
they're both 80-something-year-old weirdos.
Like
she sounds so much like Pelosi. You're so
fishing
right
rod for Robbie.
Yeah.
Rachel, what do you want? Penthouse? It's yours,
Nothing.
Rachel. Penthouse and France? You want France? You want to go fishing in France? No? Oh, all right, okay.
That's a joke.
Although if me fishing in France could do something for women's rights, I would take the hit. I would obviously take one for the team. All right, let me.
Yeah, it's so funny. Oh, they got him. Now they're going to spend Trump's money in France on a big shopping spree and get new wardrobes. Sickening. But the base just eats this up. They love it.
All these fake accusations, the Covington kid, Bubba Wallace. There was a noose in my garage at NASCAR. Jussie Smollett. Oh, I was attacked by a bunch of MAGA people at 3 a.m. in a blizzard on my way back from Subway. Sure you are. Yeah, now Fani Willis facing 22 articles of impeachment. Yep, it's election interference and it's treason, actually. Carol v. Trump should be a mistrial. It should. Jocelyn says, not only that, Blake, but how can the judge be the mentor of Carol's attorney and sit in judgment completely a violation of ethics standards? 100% accurate. This whole thing needs to be thrown out. But this does kind of segue perfectly into the next. Oh, what was that one? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Blake. Pull that one back up.
It was just about some graphic rape stuff from the first trial. That was the first time she said, "Oh, it was penetration, but now it's just like imagination. It's just sexy or whatever." So it's, I don't know. She's not credible, and it's insane that she's being taken seriously. She's not. They just want to get rid of Trump no matter what, even if it's for just total BS. Yeah, she's never reported to the police. She's crazy. She's obviously crazy. And she doesn't sound like a victim. Like, oh, finally, I'm just so happy to get justice. It's been just a hard 30 years living with this. No. Getting justice against her accuser? No. It's all BS, and they're laughing about it. It's gross.
We're going to get some new shoes, and I'm going to buy you a penthouse. Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. But really, the lady does sound like
Pelosi.
Like Nancy Pelosi, and that is our next topic. Yeah, she sounds legit, Dreamer. Yeah, she sounds legit and nutty. He also mentioned that 3-letter assets often go by first initial. Coincidence, maybe, with E, Jean Carroll?
Could be.
I don't know. Interesting point. Yeah. Okay, but like, what about this one? Code Pink protesters should leave Nancy alone. Won't you leave Nancy alone?
Perhaps. No, I disagree. They're apparently at her house. You were criticizing her, but they go after the left pretty hard too. So, controversial video showing Nancy Pelosi in a shouting match with protesters outside her home, telling them to go back to China. So, it's a newly surfaced video. Sparked controversy, showing Speaker Nancy Pelosi, her former speaker, in a heated confrontation outside her San Fran residence. Reportedly occurred as the protesters, who have been members of Radical Code Pink, gathered on Pelosi's driveway. They wrote on their social media in October, Pelosi told her members calling for a ceasefire to go back to China. But the same women have been protesting for peace at her house for 17 years. And Pelosi takes thousands of dollars from AIPAC. Who's really the foreign agent here? And one member said, she said we should go talk to China because we're China supporters. I guess she fell for that in a New York Times article, or maybe she planted it. That the idea that Code Pink is controlled by the Chinese government is a load of BS. So we can watch a video here.
It is fun, Blake.
No, it was an inside job.
Most of your constituents block beside you. Stop the genocide. Stop the Holocaust.
The Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the ceasefire.
It's getting bizarre. She's accusing them of being for China, and then she was also making headlines by making a bizarre conspiracy theory that the pro-Palestine protesters were financially backed by Russia. It's so insane. It's just like they believe their own BS, or maybe she's really mentally just deteriorating and she just doesn't know what she's doing anymore. So maybe she's got to resign for that. But yeah, she's under the fire. And it's interesting to see that Code Pink has been prominently at her residence for that long, calling her out for her warmongering ways. And she's just poster child of corruption in DC. So
I will say, though, that I think it's pretty great when you see the snake eating its own tail. When Code Pink is going after her and she's going after Code Pink, you're like, oh man, they have really jumped the shark now. When this starts happening, man, they have gone so far left, they've spun back around the other side of crazy. Like they have, And that really is the story of the Democrats of the past 5 years, their Trump derangement syndrome, and really for 8 years under Obama. For people that think Obama was a centrist or a moderate, everything about that man is radical. Everything about him, from his spouse to his policy to how he was raised, the little red schoolhouse, the people who bankrolled him, the terrorists he did fundraising dinners in the homes with in Chicago. The people that he appointed, everything about them was radical. But in the past 5 years, the Trump derangement syndrome has been even further. And I think that is going to be the story of the past 20 years, was how the Democrats jumped the shark and destroyed the legitimacy of their organization. Jocelyn says, to be fair, Blake, more than 25% of Code Pink's funding since 2017 has come from pro-CCP billionaire Neville Roy Singham, whose groups are literally co-financed by the Chinese Communist Party. Well, okay, interesting point. I'd also love to see the people in the Democrat Party who are financed by the CCP, the ones who seem to be completely on their payroll, starting and stopping with Beijing Biden, and work our way down. So,
Yep.
I mean, I think they're all getting
none of them should be taking any money, whether APAC, whether it's Israel or China or Russia or any of that stuff. They have to be, it's got to be America first, or these people need to be removed.
All right, Blake, final topic here on the way out the door. We should trust Elon Musk because he loves humanity. Agree or disagree?
I'm growing more skeptical by the day. As much as I like Elon, I want to believe in him. There's definitely red flags. And I'm not sure. He keeps saying that, how much he loves humanity with this. I don't know. That seems weird. Why does he love
But that's
humanity?
exactly what a robot who didn't care about humanity would say.
Yeah.
That's exactly the type of thing that a reptilian wearing a skin suit would say. I love humanity. Check out humans. I am a big fan of the human race.
Ben Shapiro, and Ben clearly doesn't feel the same way. And but he keeps kind of double downing on that. Like, even though all the criticism, all the weirdness, and the fact that, the way he kind of grew up, and his father was kind of a monster, and the things, Brian, you sent me a video too about all of his affiliations with these different things, the Boring Company, whether he's trying to help the elites by making them, underground tunnels. That's one of the theories. The thing is putting in the Neuralink, making that look normal. So putting chips in people's brains.
And by the way, as I said in the post, these are merely accusations, unfounded, whatever. But this is what people are talking about. So let's dig in.
Right. And the other thing is, yes, he's going to make Twitter a free speech platform. But then is that going to be used to study us? Is that going to be used against us? Is that going to be merged with the Grok and the AI? And who knows? So it's going to be kind of like a honey trap in a way. I'm not saying he's a bad guy or that he's doing this stuff. I'm just saying he's capable. And the way that he wants to make X like the app of everything, giving one man this amount of money and power and control is terrifying. I don't know if I'm completely on board. And that's, depending on how much we want to believe that he actually loves us, or if he's just trying to, set us up, get us to believe in his message, and then, pull the rug from under us at some point. I don't know. So the jury's out, and he's getting a little too chummy with Ben Shapiro and going to Auschwitz to drum up sympathy. There's some strange developments happening, and I'm not entirely sure. But let me pull up that video you sent me. Let's see here. So many assumptions here. Seem like the white hats have replaced Elon, about the world's richest man without joining a club, and they just show some of his affiliations. I don't have 7 minutes to spare running this stuff, but his dad is kind of he's a disturbing guy. And then we got Jeffrey Epstein setting up with Musk's brother up with a girlfriend. He's trying to get involved. He's setting his Boring Company to make tunnels for the elite and the government. And here's all the different underground bases that's going on. So I don't know. Brian, without getting too much into these details and just the massive amount of wealth and power that he has, and Starlink maybe being hooked up with CIA, military. I don't know about all of this stuff. Or putting the Neuralink again, the chips in people's brains, being sort of in the vicinity of Jeffrey Epstein. And there's a picture of him with Ghislaine Maxwell. There it is right there. That doesn't mean too much, but we can kind of make that, we can start drawing that picture that it is very possible. And now that, like I said, X is a private company, and they have access to all of your DMs, everything you put out there, maybe even all the things that whether you type and you tweet, or maybe the things you almost tweet and don't send. And who knows how that data is being accumulated and perhaps used against you while he's posing as the good guy. So could he be the ultimate bad guy, Brian?
I mean, in the WWE, you can turn heel really quick. Hulk Hogan famously went from the All-American wrestler to the leader of the NWO. Right. Literally, if it can happen in wrestling, Blake, it can happen to Elon.
Speaking of wrestling, did you watch the Royal Rumble on Saturday?
Dreamer says Snowden said so much about X and Facebook. Yeah, Snowden needs to come home too. And Jocelyn says she doesn't think Elon is in control of Twitter X. Yeah, perhaps. No, I did not watch the Royal Rumble. Did you?
Yes, I did. I used to be a huge wrestling fan from back in the day, and I watched the first ones. That's the only one I watch. That's the only one I enjoy, but I hadn't seen it in so long. I was kind of curious about it because I didn't, I guess I'm in the past here thinking that if you got to get a pay-per-view event, it was going to be like, $49.99. But all you really needed to do was get a subscription to Peacock for like $5.99 a month. And you got the full access to the Royal Rumble, which is literally the only event I'll watch.
And that's what Peacock did to get Taylor Swift fans to sign up for it, because they put the Chiefs Dolphins game on Peacock only, so that they could get all of those Swifties over.
That may be part of it too. I didn't get Peacock at that time because I was like, "Oh, this is a big scam," blah blah blah. But $5.99 a month, I'll keep it for a few months. They also do the Big Ten, Brian. So I don't know if that's something you would be interested in. So I'll keep it for a couple of months during March Madness and all that for the college basketball Big Ten. And it's not much else I'm terribly interested in, but at least you can cancel it and whatnot. And at least they don't have those big events anymore, or do they? Like where you have to pay big money? Do they still do that with the pay-per-view?
Don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, it's entertaining, even though it's goofy. But
Elon set up, as the good guy, but he's actually a bad guy. Like, who knows? I don't know. He does a lot of good things, but anybody you have to take with a grain of salt, and you have to keep at arm's length, and you have to be careful and wary of. Period. End of story.
Absolutely.
Everybody needs to, you trust but verify, and you don't sign away too much of your humanity to anybody. It's that simple for me. So,
right.
All right, Blake, that's all I got for today. Tell people where they can find you, sir.
Twitter, TV's Blake Walley, and Elon's X Twitter. And then, of course, the archive will always be on thenextlevelnews.com, so you can catch any shows.
And in the comments, Dreamer says, "Oh yeah, brother."
Yeah.
Thank you so much for everybody participating today. Blake, I will talk with you later. Appreciate you as always. And we'll be back again on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. You take care. Talk to you later.
Sounds good. Looking forward. Take care.
Peace.